Good evening, Knicks Nation. Today is actually Saturday evening. It is the 27th of November, 2021. I hope you're enjoying your weekend so far from yesterday. Now it's Saturday night. The Knicks are going to be playing a basketball game tonight at 7:30, in about an hour and a half or so. There was a basketball game last night as the Knicks took on the Phoenix Suns, and we did a preview of the game. So I told y'all that they had won 14 straight, that they were going to be tough, and that the Knicks needed to be on their game to beat them. They weren't on their game. The Knicks ended up losing by 21 points. They never even won a quarter against them. It was almost a coast-to-coast win by the Phoenix Suns. And there's a couple of reoccurring problems that we know that are going on with the Knicks right now. First of all, let me go back for a second. I just want to get into this so much I didn't even do the right thing. So excuse me, but blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field trying to save lives. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep our streets and sidewalks clean. Blessings also upon those that make deliveries. Double blessings on those trying to help and deliver boys and girls, men and women, children and families from human trafficking, sex slavery, prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, molestation, and pedophilia. Blessings upon the victims of these things. Curses upon the perpetrators. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Even tonight, as we're getting ready to watch a game, there is 200,000 families on the street. The last thing they worried about is a game. Blessings upon them and the millions like them around the world, and blessings upon all those that are trying to help them in these desperate situations. So there was a basketball game last night. The New York Knicks got blown out by the Phoenix Suns last night. I watched as much of the game as I could stomach. I think 2 quarters. Okay, there's a number of reoccurring problems. So we have been hearing, and I think reasonably, Tom Thibodeau say that he needed a good sample size. He needed time to see how his rotation is working. And we mentioned that last night was the 19th game. And tonight is the 20th game. And the reoccurring problem has been, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, Knicks Nation, I know you will, but we have been giving up leads in the first and the third quarters. Okay, consistently giving up leads in the first and third quarters. We have been consistently basically depending on our bench to win basketball games for us. I call them Mob Deep. We've been consistently depending on them to do that. To not just hold the lead or extend the lead that the first unit has, to actually bring us back and win the game. Benches should not be doing that. Okay, let's just talk about some basic things that all of us from elementary school playing basketball all the way to the pros, they do. So you bet generally your starting 5 are your 5 best players. Generally. And generally, what you have coming off the bench is supplementing those 5 best guys that you have. Once in a while, you will depend on that bench to help you come back when your 5 best guys are not having a good night. That does happen. But you don't want, when you see, for example, what we're seeing, what everybody's seeing, even Tom Thibodeau is seeing, that the second unit consistently outperforms the first unit. That's telling you that your first unit may not be your best starting 5. Okay? May not be your best starting 5. So with that in mind, and we've been seeing that the whole season. Tonight's the 20th game against Atlanta. We'll talk about that in a second. But last night, the starting unit started off okay. But they could not even hold a lead in the first quarter, playing okay. They were a step slow on defense. And again, I've been seeing myself the same thing all year. Mitchell Robinson often having to guard two people because either Kemba Walker or Evan Fournier gets beat, not hurt, gets beat. And then Julius Randle is a step slow and realizing he has to rotate. That's been going on all year. Okay? Yes, RJ had a rough game trying to guard one of the best shooting guards in the world. That's who he was guarding. Okay? So I'm not making an excuse, but come on. How many people could guard Devin Booker? Especially if they win in 14 games in a row. Okay? But it takes as Tom said after the game, you guard these people with your team, not as individuals. So you have RJ on him, but you got to have help rotating. They have not had that very few times. The only time you see that type of defense is when the second unit's on the floor. It's the only time you see it. Okay? And as usual, they were having to dig from behind against a really superior team. Okay? No Derrick Rose. So you had some Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes, to me, if you sit Kemba and you put Quentin Grimes in the second unit, the team is going to be better. Why? Grimes is hardly getting a chance to play. So again, I'm watching him. Everything is there. He played 17 minutes. He was 1 of 6 from the field, 1 of 5. He had 3 points. He had 4 boards. He played 17 minutes. But you got to give him a couple of games. This is Tom's Achilles heel. He plays his rotational players so much that his other players are trying to stay ready, but you can't just expect them to just be ready as soon as you throw them out there against the top team in the league. Okay? Last night we saw Grimes, we saw some McBride, we saw a little Kevin Knox because they were so bad last night. Tom was just fed up with it and put them all in there. There was not one player that was plus last night. The best plus minus came from Kevin Knox. He was -1. Sims, Jericho was -3. Quickly was -4. Quickly played a pretty good game, by the way, on both ends of the basketball floor. I think he was the only guy that came to play last night. Obi only played 14 minutes. I mean, again, to me, that's part of the problem. You got to play this kid more than 14, 11 minutes. You got to play him 20 minutes a game. He was 2 of 10. He did not shoot the ball well. He only had 5 boards. But again, he can't keep looking over his shoulder knowing he's going to come out after 5 minutes. Okay, come on. So there was all of these issues, and these are not new issues, right? If this was something that just happened once, we say, okay, they just had a bad game. But we've been seeing this for 19 games now. Okay? So we shouldn't be surprised at what we're seeing. Now, overall, again, I want to tell you, Kemba had 17 last night, but he was -13. Why was he -13? Because he kept getting beat off the dribble. Because he cannot stay in front of a guy off the dribble. And this collapses. Again, this is not new. He gets beat off the dribble. Nobody steps up except Mitchell Robinson. Now he's got to guard DeAndre Ayton and the guy that just beat Kemba. No rotation from Randall. Easy basket. That was happening. I saw it too much. I saw the first 2 quarters. I turned it off. I said, I can't watch anymore. That's how disgusted I was. I was glad I didn't see that game last night. I'm glad it was the Shabbat and I couldn't see it. So, now, listen to me carefully. On October 22nd, we did a video. And the title of the video on October 22nd was, "The schedule says Deuce time is coming." I don't know if you remember that, but I told y'all it's a long season. Tom been saying it's a long season. We're going to need everybody. So tonight against Atlanta, D Rose, Taj, and Kemba are out. Now, if Tom decides to start Alec Burks, well, before I can go there, we should see more minutes for Obi tonight. We should see a definite Grimes more minutes tonight, and we should see a Deuce sighting tonight. Now, let me caveat that. if Emmanuel quickly starts at point guard, you'll see both Grimes and Deuce. If Alec Burks starts at point guard, you might only see Grimes. Okay. But either way, I think they're going to play much better tonight. No Kemba means a positive. Okay. Now, our biggest issue tonight, and I think you know what I'm going to say, is whether Julius decides to play hero ball tonight. If he decides none of my teammates can play and I need to just carry us, we might have a problem. If he moves the basketball out of the pinch post, we're going to beat Atlanta. Because Mitchell Robinson plays better with Mobb Deep than he plays with the starting unit. Because Obi Toppin should get more minutes. Now, I haven't heard whether or not Nerlens is playing. I know he was questionable. Let me just see. Let me look at the depth. Let me look at the injury report here. He's listed as questionable due to right knee soreness. D Rose is out. Kemba is out. Gibson is out. So if we get Nerlens, we're really going to be all right. But I'm going to assume he's not playing just because he says he's questionable with right knee soreness. It's a back-to-back. He might not play. But that's okay. If we just have if we have Mitch Rob and we make Randall play some 5 and we add Obi some more minutes and we bring in a Grimes and a Deuce into the second unit, I think we'll be all right. I think we will. I'm very confident against the Hawks tonight because I think the defense is going to be better. The ball's going to move better if Randall allows it. And I think that will help unleash Evan Fournier. And I think, you're going to still have RJ, because he's going to have to be guarding either DeAndre Hunter. Who is their starting? He's going to guard either DeAndre Hunter. Who starts for them? Kevin Hurt. I don't even think Kevin Hurt is starting right now. I think who they got starting? They got, Bogdanovich. Yeah, Herter, Bogdanovich. He's going to either guard DeAndre Hunter, Bogdanovich or Herter. Now, I don't even see Hunter listed here. Is he hurt? He might be hurt. I don't even see DeAndre Hunter listed on their depth chart right now. That must be an oversight. They got Trae Young, Bogdanovich, Herter, Collins, and Capella. They so deep at the wing it almost doesn't matter. But you're going to have RJ guard Bogdanovich tonight. Or Kevin Herter. They're going to both be tough. But I like our chances with him guarding them. Look, man, Devin Booker is all NBA. And he's all NBA legit. He's definitely a top 5 player. He's definitely one of the top at his position. And yeah, so he's all that. So I'm not saying these guys are scrubs by Donovan and Herter by no means. They can both kill you. But I like RJ's chances against them. The ball being moved. In fact, let me just say overall, I think tonight the Knicks are going to field a better team than they fielded last night. That's what I think. Because it's going to force Tom to play Grimes and Deuce. It's going to force him to change his starting point guard tonight. All of that is positive. Okay? All of that is positive. Yes, I'd rather have both Mitchell and Nerlens. But if I can have one of them and then give me some Jay Randall at the 5, some of you are going to be calling for Jericho Sims. You ain't going to see Jericho Sims unless we're getting blown out or we blowing them out. I don't think any of that's going to happen. But if we get Randall and Mitch Rob playing the 5, and we have the other crew that I named, I think we're going to be in good shape tonight. Okay, I think we are. So I'm hopeful for tonight's game. Very hopeful. Now, one other thing I want to bring up. I'm trying to be very nice and polite. Okay, Knicks Nation, so bear with me. If you find yourself noticing, like I'm noticing, that the Knicks have some problems, right? And the first solution to that problem that comes to your mind is trade, you might still be a crack baby. Let me say that again. And again, I'm trying to be nice here. If you see the Knicks having problems in the 2019 games of the season, and the first solution that comes to your mind as a Knick Nation fan is the word trade, you might still be a crack baby. Why do I say that? Because that's been our past solutions for 20 years. It doesn't work. Stop it. Step away from the pipe. Trade is not going to help us. Now, let's talk again about long-term sustainable winning. I have to even admit, a year ago, I was saying we're in year one of a rebuild. Remember that? Some of you that go back with me from last year. And the Knicks surprised all of us. Julius Randle surprised all of us. Right? And they ended up being the fourth seed. He's outperforming everybody's expectations. Like, I thought they would win enough games to make the play-in. I thought that. And then as the season went on, I said 6th seed and, but they surprised all of us. So let's go back to the template that I used to mention all the time, and I'm still mentioning. The San Antonio Spurs. Let's talk about the San Antonio Spurs for a second. Now, right now, the San Antonio Spurs are struggling. I mean, they are. They're 5-13 right now. But I want to ask you a question. Suppose Kawhi Leonard decided to never leave San Antonio. San Antonio drafted him and developed him. Suppose he had never left San Antonio and he stayed there. What would San Antonio be like today? I think we could agree they'd be in playoff contention. I think we could agree they might have even won a chip at one point with DeJounte Murray and Kawhi Leonard. And so what happened, they developed and drafted their way into contention, and they were going to do it again. But then Kawhi had problems with, I still don't know what really was the situation in San Antonio. It was unusual for that organization to have a guy that wants to leave like that, but he did. So that caused them to have to rebuild and start all over again. So after a while, they're going to be back. They are. They play really good. They play hard every night. They're missing some talent, right? That they would have had if Kawhi didn't leave. So the first thing they think about when they're trying to get themselves right is draft and develop. If they can get a free agent like LaMarcus Aldridge, they'll take it. But they want to draft and develop. That's what long-term sustainable winners do. When you get to the point where you're pushing against the finals, like Miami, then you look for that one piece, Kyle Lowry, that's going to help you get over the top, right? Or Toronto kept pushing into the Eastern Conference Finals and getting beat by LeBron and them. They went and got that one piece, Kawhi, that got them over the top. We are a long way from that. So instead of thinking for the here and now, listen to me carefully. Think about what the Knicks will look like in 2 seasons. When the kids that we did draft are developed by Kenny Payne and Johnny Bryant and the whole Knicks crew. Think about that. Think about what RJ is going to be like at age 23 or 24, because he's 21 now, right? That's how you have to think. People are now they're throwing out Julius Randle trades left and right. Long-term sustainable winners, they don't do that unless, here's the reason, your Oklahoma Cities, your San Antonios would trade a guy like that. The guy wants out, right? Like Paul George wanted out. He wanted to go to the Clippers. He wanted to go back home to LA and he wanted to play with Kawhi. So they traded him. Okay. They maxed out $200 million, maxed out Russell Westbrook, MVP. But before that, they had Durant and Westbrook. They drafted both of them, developed both of them, and they were reaching the finals together, and Durant won it out. See that? Okay. Or the guy becomes a poison in your locker room. He's just messing up your whole team. His attitude is messing with you. Kevin Porter Jr. in Cleveland. And you got to get rid of that, even though he's talented. Somebody starts griping, somebody starts whining, and that stuff will pervade in your locker room. You got to get rid of that. Nip that in the bud quick. That's why you trade a guy. You don't trade a player that's now just turning 27 who you just signed to $100 million with all the league watching you. And you're trying to figure out how to build around him. You don't do that yet. Okay, so all of these snap judgment trades, I mean, I got frustrations with Julius Randle also. But like I said, you got to look longer term. We're trying to build a long-term sustainable winner. Yeah, we got spoiled last year. And I still think we could be, that's a dynamic this year. You got to give them time to figure it out. Tonight could be a stepping stone. Now, can't expect a lot from Deuce and Grimes. Like I said, they haven't been playing a lot. But if all of a sudden they come in and ball, I want to tell you something that's going to change the whole dynamic. If you see a difference in the first unit, because really you're missing tonight on your first unit, you're missing Kemba. That's it. You're going to have Mitchell Robinson. You're going to have Evan Fournier. You're going to have RJ Barrett. You're going to have Julius Randle. And hopefully, I'm hoping you have IQ. If you bring Emmanuel quickly in there and they ball out, there's going to be a permanent change at the point guard spot. You're not going to see Kemba in the point guard spot starting anymore if that happens. Okay? If it doesn't, okay, you'll see him again Tuesday against Brooklyn. But if IQ balls out in that first unit, if the ball is moving, if they're playing better defense, that's permanently going to stay. Okay? Step one. If the second unit continues to be mob deep with Obi and Alec Burks, and now you add a Quentin Grimes and maybe a Deuce McBride, and maybe you play Julius Randle at the 5. Go small ball. And they ball out. You're going to see some changes. That's what I'm saying. I'm excited about tonight, about the possibilities of what we might see. Okay? So you got to give it time. Again, don't let the word trade be your first solution to any Knicks problem. That's NBA 2K. That's dysfunctional Knicks from the past. Let your first solution be, what are we going to be in 2 years? What's going to happen when RJ's 23? How are we going to look when Mitch Roberts 25? How are we going to look once Grimes and Deuce start getting their minutes next year or even this year? How is IQ going to develop over the next 2 years? Because all of that's going to happen. Okay? So you got to give it time, and trade cannot be your first option. I don't care who you think is available out there. If somebody wants to come as a free agent and it's a sign and trade in the summer, that's a different thing. And then you leave that to Leon because they're smarter than all of us. But right now, you got to let it ride. Okay, you got to let it ride. And I told you, it's a long season, and here we are. Both Rose and Kemba's out tonight. Let's see what happens. And I'm hoping, like Rose especially and Taj are resting, because now they're in Atlanta. They travel back and they play Brooklyn on Tuesday. That would have given both of those cats a good, 8 days to recover. Groins can be, as you know, we've seen that before. Groins can be tricky. Hopefully it's not too bad with Taj and he gets full recovery, and ankles could be too. So hopefully they both recover for Tuesday against Brooklyn. But let's just see how we do tonight. Don't let the first word in your minds be trade. This is not NBA 2K, y'all. Okay? We off the crack. We in long-term sustainable winning mode. So let's think about it like that. Okay? Please enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the game tonight. I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to be with KOT, Nick of Time TV, after the game. I got to contact Jay Ellis, but I think we're going to be hooking up after the game on the post-game show. We'll probably see y'all then. But until then, please enjoy. Be safe out there. Shalom.